In December 1953, Dr. and Mrs. Forrest Eggleston, with their two children, Carol, age 6, and Robert, age 3, arrived in India as Presbyterian missionaries from the United States. His first assignment was to head up the TB Sanitarium in Juba, 180 kilometers from Ludhiana. In 1955, when the TB Sanitarium closed, he became head of the surgery department at the Ludhiana Christian Medical College. He pioneered the residential form of postgraduate training. He introduced vascular surgery and thoracic surgery in the region. He trained more than 100 postgraduates who are currently working in India and around the world. In 1982 to 1986, he also served as the director of the Ludhiana Christian Medical College. His skills and compassionate profile won the hearts of many of the citizens of the Punjab and India. Dr. Sarjit Gill, one of his early students, initiated today's tribute to Dr. Eggleston, even though he knew he could not be with us. Here are some of the tributes that were shared earlier in our newsletter.
We collectively thank God for His dedicated services to this institution and for having trained all the doctors for mission hospitals and placing the institution as a center of excellence in surgery.
There is no question that Dr. Forrest Eggleston was a very important cog that ran the wheel of CMC Ludhiana. He was respected not only in Ludhiana, but also in academia in India. He was friendly and very likable. It is a very sad piece of news about the loss of a great soul. I had the pleasure of knowing Boss for 50 years and saw him in so many roles that he played to sustain Ludhiana CMC. I have always held the belief that Dr. Eggleston sacrificed the most and gave the best years of his life to CMC Ludhiana.
We mourn the loss of a beloved icon who played a distinguished and major role at a crucial period in the life and history of CMC. Our dear boss has left us for his heavenly abode. He will be fondly remembered by all of us. He was the best surgeon, teacher, trainer, mentor I have ever met. God bless his soul. I have trained in 3 continents, but the training he gave us is unsurpassable and superb. We will miss him, and his sweet memories will stay with us for the rest of our lives.
Although I was not one of his surgical trainees, I got to know him as a person over the past 15 years, having seen him every year during that time. Dr. Eggleston personified the best of mankind in virtually every facet of life.
Thank you, Dr. Eggleston, for being a model encouraging us to find, freely choose, and stay on the straight and narrow road that God has destined for us as the only way to happiness and fulfillment.
Most of the April-June edition of the Christian Medical Journal of India was given over to tributes to Dr. Eggleston and his accomplishments. The first and longest article was written by Reena Luke. She writes,
He knew almost intuitively when to rein in and when to give in.
Pictured in her article is Dr. Eggleston with Dr. Navneet Chaudhary, current head of surgery at CMC.
He often called his students coolies, underlined to them that their lot was a hard and laborious one. He also wanted to divest them of their egos.
In Dr. John Victa's article entitled The Privileged Student, he writes,
Boss encouraged me during my failures, consoled me during my tragedies, and celebrated my successes.
Dr. Mohan Vakisa's article says, Dr. Eggleston was a class apart.
Boss knew how to get things done. He was logical and persuasive, and you could not possibly keep him down once he decided to do something.
Dr. Navneet Chaudhary wrote, He often juggled with obsolete equipment and modernized discarded stuff to get the work going. He was fair and impartial to the very core.
Dr. Kim Mammon, current associate director at CMC, wrote, Boss had a way of connecting to people. He was unaffected and down to earth. You could approach him at any time with any problem. He was always ready to help you out. He was a leader by instinct, and he was a good human being.
Dr. Sunil Singh's article was entitled, Boss ironed us out in a jiffy. His sense of fair play and justice was so pronounced that any kind of favoritism was alien to him. Following his retirement, tributes poured in from students, faculty, staff, patients, and friends. All were compiled in a book that son Bobby Eggleston has brought for us to see. We hope you will page through it. Here are a couple of the contributors. Forrest and Barbara Eggleston retired in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Barbara preceded him in death in 2004.
Barbara was a vital presence in the Eggleston mission in Louisiana. She served as secretary, typist, computer, memory for Forrest, editor and reader for over 60 theses, companion and close associate in all of Forrest's multifaceted work and interests, gardener, cook, mother, counselor, hostess, and first lady. In 1976, she became the manager of St. Thomas School, and in 1982, she became the secretary of the Punjab Education Board for the Church of North India.
With memorial funds received after Barbara's death, a house on campus was renovated to serve as the Barbara Eggleston Guest House, where many of us have stayed while in Louisiana. Very sadly, daughter Carol, pictured here with her father, passed away shortly before Forrest's passing. In retirement, Dr. Eggleston wrote his memoirs in a book he titled, Where is God Not? This title was a quote from the Reverend Lowry, the first missionary to serve in the Ludhiana area. While visiting about religion with Maharaja Ranjit Singh, the Maharaja asked him, Where is God? Maharaja Ranjit Singh was impressed with the response, Where is God not? During the last few years of his life, he had two consistent visitors from CMC. One was Dr. Ogra, whom we heard from earlier, and the other was Dr. Navneet Chaudhary, current head of the surgery department at CMC. On Dr. Chaudhary's last visit, shortly before his death, he brought with him a Pahari hat. Dr. Eggleston appreciated the gift and the visit a great deal. Forrest and Barbara Eggleston's son, Bobby, has brought with him photo albums and photos that we know you will enjoy looking through. It is with joy that today we celebrate a life well lived and one that made a big difference in the Ludhiana Christian Medical College. Praise be to God for the lives of Forrest and Barbara Eggleston.